I can't find the words to explain to you how good these pro gamers are.
He's actually stimming his units as he leaves the base. He's trying to get so many other players' face that there's not even time for the Bailings to finish.
Naniwa's got his army split up. He's got one attack on the right hand side. Another chasing down the army. Storms come down.
These are the best of the best in esports history. And Huck's starting to blink forward as the Zealots are removed. The supply goes in Huck's favor.
So much energy. Where did that energy come from? Tanks desperately trying to target fire down Queens.
The Archon's moving forward. A lot is going down here, and only Colossus left over.
He's starting to get some feedbacks down. He's starting to advance forward. Another vortex.
There's the blink forward, trying to get underneath those Brood Lords. Oh, he sends the vortex.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City, and welcome back to the Winter Season Showdowns. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent. Of course, yesterday we had a great match.
Yes. Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
That was. I mean, not much worse. If you missed that match,
a lot of people
MC
are watching.
Live,
what are y'all talking about?
YouTube.com/official MLGSC2. Catch those games because it was there was the play there on behalf of the winning player was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. My favorite series of the tournament so far.
Very, very good series. I've liked a couple. I don't know if I can pick one to be favorite, but definitely one to watch without a doubt.
Every VOD, again, is available there on our YouTube channel in full 1080p HD. That brings us to what's going on today. Of course, this week we're working on, or at least Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're working on the independent players who aren't necessarily on ESF teams. Of course, involving MC, Alive, Taeja, Violet, Pult, and Hero. You can see that on your screen right now. Of course, yesterday we had MC versus Alive. Today, we're going to have Taeja versus Violet. And of course, tomorrow we will continue with Hero versus Pult. Nice racial distribution there. Of course, two Protosses, 3 Terrans, and a Zerg. And the only Zerg is going to be playing today. And that's one of the main concerns, I feel like, right now, is how good are these Zerg players going to be? Of course, we have a list of the players that are already qualified. Again, just a reminder to everyone who's watching these. I feel like I say it every time, but there's always the newer audience who doesn't necessarily know what's going on. All of these matches are best of 5 in Heart of the Swarm. The winner of each match qualifies for the Winter Championship event. And of course, we have a bunch of amazing players already qualified. The live event is looking to be one to remember. It's going to be fantastic.
So many world-class players are going to qualify, but so many more have already fallen.
Yep.
Today we'll again see 2 of the world's best players fight. One will join this list of qualified players. We can see there amazing Protoss players, Party and Hero, Rain. We've got, amazing Terran players, Marine King, Joxi, Innovation. All these guys are so good. Stefano is probably the strongest Zerg there on that list, but Blind, Rudder, both very strong European Zergs as well. I do have to say though, I feel like right now we have a higher percentage of world-class Terrans and Protosses than Zergs qualified so far. So it's up to Violet today to try to change things a little bit.
Violet, of course, this brings us into a nice discussion about the 2 players today. Of course, Taeja versus Violet is going to be beginning momentarily. Violet, he just all-killed FXO in the GSTL.
Semifinals.
In the semifinals, yes.
That's right.
Of course, that means he's very seasoned in Heart of the Swarm, one might think. Of course, Taeja, he's had Pro League obligations with, of course, he's in Korea right now for Pro League, for EGTL. And, who knows how much Heart of the Swarm he's been playing. Also, Taeja has had some injury issues recently. So I am really intrigued to see how these 2 players do. It should be a great one. Both of these guys are 2 of the best players in the world, without a doubt. I think they have those championship results. They have those StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty results. But again, this is Heart of the Swarm, and these are 2 players. In the bottom right-hand location, we have the Blue Zerg player Violet, of course, on Team Azubu. Recently joined them about 2 or 3 months ago. He's known for being that Korean who is very community driven. Like, he's always interacting with the foreign community. He jokes how he's an American right? He's very good at the English language. He moved on over to the United States not too long ago, spent a good amount of months in the United States learning English, attending tournaments in North America. I think right now he's in Korea right now, so you know, he's there for a little bit, but definitely a fan favorite. Also, speaking of fan favorites, in the top left-hand location on Team Liquid, one of the first Korean players to join their organization as a player, he is Taeja, who is no stranger to winning very important matches, very important games. Should be a good one, but again, his Wings Liberty obligations, is that holding him back at all? Ooh, we have a barracks being sneakily placed just beneath his main base.
You know, talking about Taeja and his Wings Liberty obligations, I think they're going to hurt him and help him.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to have a lot less Hearthstone Storm experience than Violet will, but in the round of 8 GSL, he had a Zerg opponent. Now he's in the round of 4 of the GSL against a Zerg opponent. If he wins, he's going to play another Zerg opponent, which means that all of his Wings of Liberty is TVZ practice. And yes, it's a different game, but I mean, as we can see here, there's a lot of, I mean, you can do a lot of the same builds. You can play the same style. You can play Marine Tank. You can play 2 Axe openings. And his TVZ should be at the highest it's ever been at, because this is, I think, the only time he's had a several-week period to just focus on a single matchup. So I think he's really happy to have a Zerg opponent here.
Of course, Violet at the same time, you know, he was told about this match a long time ago, so he's been able to practice pretty much exclusively ZVT leading up to this point. Again, the winner of this match gets that all-expenses-paid trip to the Winter Championship event. So this should be a phenomenal match. Again, guys, get on Team Liquid, get on Reddit, let people know this is happening, and join the conversation. I'm sure everyone's already in those threads creating nice discussion. Go get involved with that and talk about this match. Again, 2 of the titans of the Western scene. Of course, here we have Taeja going for some 2 racks play. Violet pulling about 6 drones here to potentially deal with this, trying to target down the Marines here, but 2 more tagging on, and Violet is scrambling to get more Queens and Zerglings on the field to deal with this.
Violet hasn't even started a Spine Core. Looks like he wants to hold this without using Spine. Just mass drone pool, plenty of Zerglings on the way. Is that bunker going to get up? And if it does get up, can the Marine get in there?
Oh, looks like the SCV is going to get targeted. The bunker not going to be completed. A bunch of drones and Lings going to pursuing the Marines and SCVs from Taeja outside of Violet's natural expansion. The drones trying to go for a surround. Nice micro here from Taeja, trying to get as many kills as possible. And there we see Violet microing away those drones, pulling him back to his natural expansion. And the bunkers are going to get cleaned up by those Lings with 4 more in production. But Taeja isn't done. He's got 2 SCVs, about 5 Marines here. He might try to start another bunker on the low ground, or he might just back up. I mean, he has another SCV in production back home, but I don't know if this is going to work anymore.
He's going to keep producing Marines, and one of the problems Violet has is he has no Spine Crawler, which means if Taeja keeps producing Marines, Violet will really not have an answer as that Marine count grows and grows, so those Zerglings cannot deal with it anymore. Taeja, though, he's actually, is he going to keep? No, he's going to back up.
Yeah, he's got that command center down.
I feel like he's anticipating the Spine Crawler from Violet earlier than it actually is coming down. There goes that Spine Crawler. Violet well aware that if the Marine count gets too high, you do need that extra defensive layer.
All right, the Marines coming forward here from Taeja. Looks like he has about 8 here outside of his opponent's natural expansion. As you said before, Violet's Spine Crawler about halfway done. Behind this, Taeja putting down 2 command centers. So at this point, just trying to keep that threatening presence outside of Violet's natural expansion, trying to get Violet to produce more and more units and less drones while he takes an economic advantage of his own. We'll have to see if he can accomplish that. As Violet, he's still producing drones. It's not like he's biting at this faint progression, right? He did pull that Spine Crawler, but I think that's well worth it. Going to try to maneuver itself forward. Taeja getting a decent amount of damage done on it, and Violet forced to pull some Lings, and Taeja's finally going to back away here. Oh, he's going to try to engage is Violet, and a lot of Lings are going to be lost here.
The Queen backing him up. I don't think it's going to be enough. So many Zerglings went down. A very efficient trade for Taeja. I mean, the way these players are happening, Violet wants to break out so he can go and take a 3rd base. Taeja wants to delay that as long as possible while he's trying to develop a mid-game army. Because right now, yes, he's going to have stellar economy, but he still doesn't have an army that can really go out on the map and compete with Zerg in mid-game. There's no stim on the way, there's no combat shield, there's no medevacs. There's not even a factory even started. So he may try to do another giant Marine timing, perhaps with combat shields, to slow the Zerg down even more while he tries to catch up attack.
we see Taeja adding on that factory after putting down those 2 additional command centers. So he's going to have 3 orbitals in total. Already has 2 gas on the field. His income is going to be pretty ridiculous as this game proceeds to the 10-minute mark. And Violet placing down a Baneling nest, adding on that 2nd gas at his natural expansion. There goes the 3rd hatchery. So both these players look like they're preparing for the mid-game again. Taeja trying to be a little bit threatening earlier on, but not going all in, expanding twice behind it. Of course, the 3rd command center is still in his main base, so not necessarily floating that out, but both these players setting up for that macro game, and I don't necessarily expect Violet to be aggressive with this Baneling nest. It's something you kind of need with how common those mid-game pushes have been from Terran.
Especially when you know your opponent's open with the 2 barracks, they're most likely going to follow up with a fast expansion, which means a lot more Marines, so you got to be prepared to deal with that secondary push out. Overlord's speed has been researched also. Very, very, very fast. No Lariat in sight. Going to be using those fast Overlords for great scouting utilization. Oh yeah, absolutely. Scouting so important in Heart of the Swarm nowadays in Zerg versus Terran, because you never know when your Terran opponent is going to do one of those scary Widowmine, Hellbat charges. And it's nice just to be able to get an Overlord in there to find out exactly what's going on. Speed is done on those Overlords, and there we go. Violet sending in that first Overlord, making some Banelings for defense, just now going up to lair. And he does spot that 3rd command center, spots the factory of the reactor on it, spots the lack of a starport. So Violet pretty much knows everything that's going on at this point in time. He does. He even scouts the exact engineering bay timing, the add-ons being all built. And when a Terran puts on all those add-ons, that means one of 2 things. They're either going to not attack or move out right now, because the idea is they're not going to be making units over the next 30 seconds. So either they have the amount of units they're happy with to launch an attack, or they don't plan on attacking for quite some time. The fact that there's no move out, Violet knows he's going to be safe for at least another 2 minutes. I expect to see a lot of drones in production. Violet able to trap a few Hellions here, but at what cost is the question that begs. We've got 6 workers killed there for Taeja. Violet's still going to be fine in Harvesters. A lot of Banelings were toasted. Their units loss is 1050 to 950, so nothing too crazy going on there, but now that the Hellions are gone, Taeja does not have much map control, as Violet is extending across the map here with a bunch of links, trying to find out what his opponent is doing. Sees a sizable Marine Marauder force, but again, Violet has that Baneling nest on the ground. He has the ability to add those Banelings into his unit composition, which of course is instrumental against heavy bio play from your opponent. Taeja looks to move out with a small force here. No combat shield. Stim is not quite done yet, but I think it's going to be another 30 seconds before it finishes. He's going to have to wait on the high ground here a little bit. I think he just wants to deny a potential 4th from the Zerg player, saying, you know what, 3 base to 3 base sounds good to me. I can tell that your 3rd wasn't that droned up on my Hellion scouted it. I know I've had 3 orbitals for quite a long time. I know I'm doing good in upgrades. As long as you don't have that 4th, I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. But no, moving down to the 3rd. Here he goes. He has the ability to retreat up that ramp and set up a nice cockpit. But here come the Banelings from Violet, sending in the Lings as well. But the Marauder's going to be sent forward there to absorb the Baneling hits. But actually, Violet's still getting a significant amount of damage done. Taeja still has 3 Hellions and plenty of Marines still involved here. 20 Lings on the way for Violet with 1-1 just now underway. And Taeja is not going to kill Violet by any means with this, and yes, he is just going to sacrifice his Marines and get those Hellions out of there. So Violet able to hold off that push, but, you know, it's not like Taeja was trying to kill his opponent, just trying to kill some units. Maybe tried to deny the 3rd, but Violet's defense too good. Violet's progressing up the Spire in this game here. That's going to finish up. He's going to utilize the Mutalisk with their extra regeneration and extra movement speed we see in Heart of the Storm. And that's a great choice against Taeja, as Taeja may not be quite as familiar with the main counter to the Mutalisk in Heart of the Storm, which is the Widowmine. Yes. Of course, focusing mostly on Wings Living right now is Taeja, but he does know about the Hellbat. So you can see there, 3 of those Hellions transformed to Hellbat mode. They're going to be much more effective against Speedlings and Banelings in that Hellbat mode. Medevacs are now in play, so drops could be seen very shortly here from Taeja, utilizing Ignite Afterburners. More Hellbats being added on into the mix. Plenty of Marines here as well, and this is quite a scary force indeed. Violet going to try to deal with it, sending the Lings forward. Has some Banelings here as well. I got to think he might need some more. He's got 7 Banelings here, and the Spire's done, but no Mutas in production. There we go, 11 Mutas in production. Just use his entire bank, but he has to hold off this push so we can actually use the Mutas. One of the things is there's no baiting speed, which means on creep, it's gonna, or off creep, excuse me, it's gonna be impossible to run down Stim Bio. He's gotta have to rely on a good flank to prevent that Bio from retreating. That's exactly what he's doing. Some units on the right, some units on the left.
Got to be careful with the Hellbats. The Banelings trying to extend forward to explode into this Bio army, but Taeja has too much at this point. Does lose the Hellbats, but still plenty of Marines, plenty of Marauders still alive. The Mutas have now popped out. Let's see if Violet uses this in his attack. He is going to. The Marauder setting himself forward to try to, again, absorb that Baneling damage. The Hellbats coming forward as well, but Taeja going to start splitting up the Marines to neglect the Banelings, and just like that, Violet coming back in with more Zerglings and Mutas, and he should be able to clean this up, but no, Taeja getting so much cost-efficient damage done here.
So many Mutas went down. They're very good trade by Taeja there. I think the key players in those battles were those Hellbats. I mean, Violet set up that beautiful flank. Yeah. But then half of his army just got sock cold by those 5 Hellbats. Yes, he took them out, but that was intended to be half his army striking half the Terran from the back. And when all it did was, you know, take out those couple Hellbats, it really took the power out of that flanking maneuver. And it was just a brilliant use of these new Heartless Storm units that Taeja's mixing into his army.
Taeja's going to be ahead in upgrades at this point in time. 2-2 about to finish, with 2-2 just now beginning here for Violet. Going to be sending a command center over to that 4th base, and an Overlord going to be annoying there, but in the middle of the map, Violet sees exposed Marines and Marauders. He's going to go for Mutas coming in from the back, Lings from the front, Banelings as well being mixed in, and Medevac igniting those afterburners and getting out of there as fast as they can. Taeja coming in with some more reinforcements. 2-2 again is moments away from finishing, but Violet has Baneling speed completed, which is going to be instrumental. However, his creep isn't too fantastic at this point, so it's still going to be a bit of a challenge trying to engage Taeja's army.
One of the things I love by Taeja, consistently adding in more and more Hellbats into his army, now even a Widowmine or 2 added in. But the Hellbats are out of position, the Speedians and Banings break into his army, but there's too many Marines and they get driven back yet again.
Wow, Widowmine getting a nice shot there onto those Zerglings, blood splattering all over the ground of Ohan. And again, Taeja behind this has a 4th base. Violet not even close to one. He does have one down, but no gas is saturated. Going to try to engage once again. Widowmine coming forward, going to be burrowed there by Taeja. A shot is not going to be going off yet. Now it's going to go off onto the Banelings potentially. Wow, great damage done there from Taeja, and Violet still scrambling to hold off this relentless aggression from Taeja.
Taeja adding more and more factories, using them all to crank out extra Hellions, and Widowmines being added to his army. Of course, those are very powerful addition to your standard by army, allowing him to deal with those speed banings a little bit easier. But Violet, he's going to get upgraded quality in just a few seconds. A lot more speed banings adding into his army. If he can crush this army once and kill off those medevacs, that could be what he needs to get back in the game.
He's going to try to do it. Keep in mind, there is a Widowmine there. Big shot there onto the Lings and the Banelings, but Violet is going to have enough here to clean this up potentially. But again, Taeja keeps sending more and more reinforcements across the field, and that's going to mean the difference here as he's up 151 to 96 in supply. Violet backing up once again, trying to churn out the units, the Lings and the Banelings, more and more of them, but he's just having so much trouble getting enough to deal with, again, this relentless aggression from Taeja.
Taeja just has all his rally points right outside of Violet's 3rd. The 4th goes down. More and more of these Hellbats being added into the mix. Baning's taking them out, but that cost all the Banings as well.
And there's the GG from Violet. Taeja just did not stop attacking Violet throughout the entire game, and it's not like that's what he was focusing on. Behind this, he was continuing with upgrades, making sure he retained the upgrade advantage. He was adding on upgrades, adding on Widowmines, adding on Hellbats, adding on an additional base, adding on additional command centers. Taeja was everywhere that game, and Violet, he just could not secure that 4th base. He kept trying to break out of this aggression that Taeja was just relentlessly pouring on. He just was not able to do it.
It's very reminiscent of about half a year ago, a lot of Terrans were doing this Blue Flame Hellion Marine combination, just putting a ton of pressure on the Zerg, and using the Blue Flames to stop the Speedians from getting to surrounds, which allowed the Banings to connect. Taeja doing the same thing, except doing it a little more efficiently, Heartless Storm. Instead of Blue Flame Hellions, he's got the Hellbats, which he doesn't need to research that pre-igniter upgrade for. They tank a lot more Baning hits, they do a lot more damage than even the Blue Flame Hellions. A very powerful combination there to keep Violet on the back foot while just macros insanely behind it all.
Yeah, and like Taeja, he was always sending the reinforcements across the field, so there was never a moment where Violet could just take a breath, maybe advance on his tech into an infestation pit, eventually get that hive out, or you know, as far infestors. But he's forced to stay on the Lings, the Banelings, and the Mutas, and eventually Taeja just kept making his unit composition better and better and better to counter that, mixing in the Hellbats, mixing in the Widowmines, and Violent had no response, couldn't get that 4th base down, couldn't get down the 7th and 8th gas. And that means he falls in game 1 of this best of 5. So Taeja is going to be up 1-0, leading into game 2. We'll see you there.